Welcome, everybody. My name is Linus Rode. I'm the sporting executive director of Oregon Surf, and happy to have our competitive meeting launch this evening. You've all heard of Scott Thompson, our new COO. He'll be running the meeting and helping our new lead competitive director, Alec Ingram, who I'm very, very proud of that he's gotten the position and taken this leadership role. And he'll be going over his program and what you can expect for the year. So with that, Scott, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Linus. Thank you, Alec. Thank you, everybody, for joining the call today. We greatly appreciate you taking the time on this beautiful Oregon evening. We'll take you through all the great elements of our competitive program. But first, we want to touch on what it means to be a part of the Surf Nation. Surf is a national brand that helps players at all levels of the game. And our mission is to create the best of the best experience and opportunities for all of our youth soccer players through our clubs, our events, and our facilities. And I want to take a moment just to stress that the best of the best experience is not only just the top players in the club or across the country. It's for all players. Every player should have the ability to play at the level of their choosing, whether you are a multi-sport athlete, whether you have multiple events or other commitments. We want to make sure that you're all having fun, you're enjoying yourselves, and you are learning the best skills that you possibly can. As Linus mentioned, we are very happy to welcome Alec as our new lead director of coaching for our competitive boys program. Alec will be overseeing all elements of the competitive boys and girls, reporting into Linus as our sporting director. Alec is a very experienced coach in the area. He's currently a United States Soccer Federation C licensed head coach, ongoing and learning to become a B licensed head coach. It was a very small, unique group of coaches in the country that have that credential. He's a very passionate head coach, and I've had the pleasure of watching him both on the sideline and how he interacts in and around the office, both virtually and in person. And I've been very impressed by how he shows up. And I think he'll do an excellent job overseeing your young student athletes as they develop and grow in the game. With that, I want to pass it over to Alec to speak about his program, his staff, and talk you through the program and some of the positive elements that you can see coming up this year. Alec?
Scott, Linus, thank you both for the introduction. I appreciate it. And I'll start with saying very, very excited to take on the role of being the lead DOC and work with the boys and girls side program. With that being said, transitioning right into kind of the staff, we're very excited to add Johnny Cardello to our staff. Very well known in our area as well for just success with developing players. Lots of state cup champions on his route, 2021 OISA Coach of the Year, C license as well, working on going into his B license, and he will be our assistant director of coaching for the boys and girls program. And again, very excited to welcome him to the program as well. So you'll see him around a lot as well. Very involved out there as well, very passionate, but it will be a great addition to our staff. As we transition into the philosophy growth progression side of things, just from a training environment, there's lots on this slide. I'm not going to sit and break down all of it, but the biggest parts that we want everyone to understand is at the young ages, you'll see there's kind of a learning to train side of things. So I really want them to just come out, be comfortable with training, practicing everything that comes with it. As they get older into kind of the competitive realm, U11 through U14, it's more training to train. Again, kind of a dedicated training environment, kind of pushing the boundaries of challenging them, getting them out of their comfort zone, but again, finding the balance with the fun side of it as well. As they get into the older ages, it's really working on training to compete, a little bit more focused development, kind of focused development plans, but at the same time, again, throwing them into different environments, different things just to challenge them in different ways as well. So that's kind of the general breakdown of that side of it. And I'll kind of leave it at that so we don't go too far into it and sit on this slide forever. As we transition into the kind of what the year looks like, of course, the competitive program ranges from U11 all the way up to U19. All of our teams in the competitive realm will be playing in OYSA, which is Oregon Youth Soccer Association. I'm sure, as most of you know, our training locations for our competitive program are all through THPRD, HMT Recreation Center, Mountain View Champions Park, PCC Rock Creek, and we have power lines as well that we utilize mainly during the summer. The majority of all of our competitive teams, the whole program in a sense is 2 trainings a week, at least guaranteed, year-round practices from our tryouts that we have coming up May 12th, May 13th, kind of that week then all the way through the next May. The goal this summer, which will look a little bit different, I think, for most, is of course we have kind of our 2 to 3 local tournaments that we'll do or we'll be attempting to do. And then we are, for our competitive program, which some have, some haven't, but we want to introduce and give our competitive program, competitive players, the opportunity to travel a little bit as well, to kind of teach them that side of playing as well, that side of kind of a team environment, just adding that element to where we at least want them to have the opportunity to do so. And so you'll see kind of as we get further and go over some summer tournaments, we'll have some different options that you'll see, that we of course will trying to have those tournaments set in stone kind of out in the next couple of days, for your teams, so you can plan accordingly. The big target for our competitive players, families, everything is, again, it's we want athletes who love the game, want to play, want to be there, but it's also our job, as coaches, to kind of help instill the love of the game, and help them kind of fall in love with it and have that last a lifetime as they kind of transition and move forward in playing out on and off the field, everything that kind of comes with that. But also at the same time, we want athletes to be able to play multiple sports. We want that to be a place where they can kind of come and play multiple sports, but also come and have fun and compete at whatever level they would like. As mentioned previously, summer tournament side of things, there's a lot listed on here. Not all of our teams are going to be attending all of these tournaments, of course, but this is just kind of a general list of the options. To where the travel one side of things, as you'll see kind of on boys and girls side, we have like a Washington Premier Rainier Challenge that we're going to try and add to some of our teams. There's a Snohomish Bigfoot Tourney is what they call it. It's up in Washington as well. Another Washington one is kind of Surf Invitational, Western Washington Surf, so another kind of surf partner club. And those are the ones that travel-wise that we'll be looking at attending, to where it's mainly just driving a couple hours up there, of course, hotel stay that comes with that. And then as you'll see, there's some local tournament options on there as well. I know a lot of the time in the competitive program, some of these tournaments can be based on availability. So again, we want to provide options. We want to give the kids as many opportunities as we can to play over the summer. But also something to think about is I am one that I would love to get all of our players in the competitive program an opportunity to travel and experience that. And so I think as you look at these, and when the tournaments kind of get sent out to your age groups and all of that, I would put some focus on those travel ones, just so we can get teams to those tournaments and get our players the opportunity to have that experience with their team. And I'll go ahead and pass the travel side over to you, Linus.
Thanks. Just a little bit about our travel philosophy as a club. We kind of broken it down in here into 5 phases as we try to get players to become more independent and learn how to be more accountable as they go through the program. So as they're coming in at the younger ages, particularly U11, U12, we travel as we call it family travel. So at that point, our teams are still traveling where mom and dad are staying in the rooms with their player. There's still a team manager. We do have chaperones as well that help with the group to make sure they're getting their meals, whether it's a team meal out at a restaurant or the meal comes in to the hotel. With that, we have, if you want to call it a curfew for nighttime, where, we have time for the players to be in bed and resting properly for the next day for games. But we really try to build everything around the hotel. Everything's in the hotel in that, even though it is family travel. And with that, we also have recovery time where we have pool sessions where our coaches will take the players in to do some recovery. Again, all kind of building good accountability around the game, but also accountability off the field as well. And then as they get going through the phases up through the U13 to I would say 17 to 19, our U20s teams, those are all teams that come back from college. So our U19s and down to U13s, that's where they really start traveling more independently with the team. So, they'll drive up with the team, or they may drive up with their parents. But essentially at that point now they're staying in hotel rooms with their teammates, and they're really accountable to the team itinerary, being on time. If a coach has a team meeting in the lobby or dinner planned or recovery, like I talked about before, they're really holding each other accountable. They have to help each other, make sure they don't forget their boots in the room, their cleats, I should say, to make sure, when they go to the game, they have their cleats, all little things like that, just to help them become more accountable. And the other cool part about that is they start creating really awesome memories with their teammates, with their coaches, on and off the field. There's memories that they create that's, lifelong lasting. And there's so many kids that I've coached over the years, they'll always talk about certain trips that they just remember that it was such a great experience. So that's ultimately what we look to do with team travel. So there's a progression, where we do have the parents with the players until they get to U13, and then we start transitioning them into becoming more independent and working with the team manager, and the chaperones and the coach to make sure they're doing what they need to do, as far as, again, being ready to play on game day. But there's also a lot of fun times that, that the coach will arrange, whether it's an outing to a restaurant or to a university or whatever the case may be, but just creating those special moments for the players that they will always remember as they progress on. So that's our travel philosophy in a nutshell.
All right, so just to go back to kind of the season and what it looks like and breaking things down. First off, I'll start with saying, as I move into the role, transition into the role, and get to know a lot more of the families in the competitive realm, and have conversations with everyone, I can assure you that you will see that the goals are not just the ones on here, to where there's a very big picture, there's a very big realm of what we are trying to hit and achieve, kind of just moving forward with the competitive program. But essentially right off the bat, going into this next year, a big thing that I want us all to focus on, and kind of be even families on your side of things looking at and kind of having in mind with kind of as we transition into it, is really trying to, from a club side of things, staff side of things, but really trying to raise our staff's kind of accountability and expectations. And it really starts with kind of the communication to the families, parents, players, everything that kind of comes with it, from the training and game preparation, and really kind of linking or connecting the dots kind of between the coaching side, the player side, but also with the family side of it, to where it's kind of more constant communication with you guys, but also kind of having more of an open door kind of for everybody, to where parents have questions, we're here to help, we're here to answer them, to where, again, we are here for you guys and really want to serve you and provide the best experience we can for your players, but not only them, but families as well. My big goal, and you can see it with the big letters, is growth of the program. And again, it's from a staff side, but really supporting our staff, helping them, being there to support them, kind of help steer them in the right direction, but also just give them the support that they need to have success day in, day out. But also the same thing on the player side, to where we want to turn this into a place where, one, players are wanting to be here, dying to be here, adding more teams, adding more players, in a sense, to where we want it to turn into more of a place for everyone, to where high level competitive teams, we want to have those, to where we want it to be a place where our top competitive teams are competing at higher levels if we want to, but also at the same time hitting kind of all sides of the spectrum, towards we want everyone to be able to have a place to play, from top to bottom, And again, as I mentioned earlier, kind of really growing a love for the game with the kids. Towards we want them to create memories and remember their experience in the club soccer world, and we want to be a part of that. Just because I know for me, it's when I think of soccer and think of youth soccer, there's so many different memories that I have, and the 99% of them are all very positive and shaped me into who I am as well as a coach. But again, want to find the balance of being able to compete at all the levels, have fun while doing so. But then also on that side of things, it's like we want our kids to develop and grow and feel like they're improving. And on the outside looking in, to where it's like families watching games and trainings and stuff like that, you guys should also notice differences with our kids improving and getting better. And again, just as a group collectively, the whole program taking steps in the right direction.
So, Alec, thank you for all that great information. For families that have younger children in the Development Academy, we have an upcoming webinar on the 17th to go over that program. And for anybody that has questions about tryouts, about dates, trying to stay up to date with all the travel, please follow us on our social handles at OregonSurf_soccer or at OregonSurf-ECNL-ECNLRL. Or you can go to our website as well, OregonSurf.org. We also would like to share some upcoming events. So we have our competitive boys and girls tryouts, May 12th and 15th at the local Beaverton Fields that Linus and Alec mentioned earlier. We also have summer camps that you can register for online. And then we do encourage you all, especially our competitive teams, to join us for Memorial Day weekend. We now have the Friendship Cup back under Oregon Surf. It'll be a great event for newly formed teams, for teams that want to come, have a great time, play with their friends, and overall have a great experience on an amazing holiday weekend. And with that, we want to leave time for any questions that we can answer about the program. So if you have a question for Alec or for Linus or myself, please drop it in the Q&A section and we'll go ahead and read through. First question, can we get the slides of the presentation? Yes, we'll be sharing this recording of the presentation on our on the website. We'll also send up a follow-up email to all of our current Surf members with Alec and Johnny's introduction, as well as the information here presented tonight. Looks like the next question, field space is limited. Any chance of increasing our field space? Right now, it's very tight with multiple teams in the field. Alec, do you want to answer that one, or I'm happy to take it too?
Yeah, I mean, I can start. To, of course, I think as always, there's never a time where we're not trying to improve the field space side of things. Whether it's through THPD or looking outside of there, we're definitely always trying to work on it. But to kind of flip the side of that to where that's something that I want to kind of tackle with coaches is also trying to, no matter what the space we have, kind of increasing the trainings that we have in that space and maximizing what we can do with that space.
Looks like we have additional questions around field space with the newest program, MLS Next. I will just say that we are doing our best to make sure that all teams have adequate space at all of our facilities, as well as adding additional facilities to the roster. So stay tuned as we go through the summer, but the goal is to increase the amount of space we have so all of our teams have what they need to train. Let's see, we have a question here. Who can we contact for a tryout? So if you are interested in joining Oregon Surf, you can go to our website and click on the Join Us link. There's a player inquiry link that will allow you to update information about which program you're looking to join, whether it's our competitive program, MLS Next, ECNL. But what that does, it allows us your information and allows us to contact your club to get permission for you to come out to train. Let's see, another question. Is there an opportunity for boys to play with the elite team Also, will there be an ECNL option? Alec, do you want to answer that one about movement between the programs?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think there's always, what I'll start with is there's always an opportunity for movement in a sense to where it's all of our players, no matter the age, they develop at different rates, different speeds. And so as a coaching staff, as the DOC, to where if there are players that need more, we absolutely will push them and work on getting them in an environment to give them that. To where at this also at the same time, if for some reason they need to be moved up to that team, like we're never opposed to doing that, but there is always the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I will just go back to the mission earlier. Our goal is to provide the best experience for our players. And so that means if our players have a massive boost in terms of their physical development and they need to play at a faster, more physical space, we will work as a staff to evaluate that. If a player needs a space where maybe it's a little bit slower or there's more room for them to play so they can build confidence on the ball, we'll make that transition. We want to make sure all the coaches have visibility to all of our players and the various programs so they're not siloed. Another question. My son has outdoor school during the week of tryouts and won't be able to make it. Will there be other opportunities to try out outside of the dates given?
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's definitely register for tryouts and then just send us in the notes you can add as well, but just reach out. You can send me an email and kind of let me know, and then we can set up a time after tryouts to have them come out and be evaluated by our coaching staff.
Another question is, it's our first year. Any thoughts on what my son can expect at tryouts?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I think it's every year is different when it comes to tryouts, but I would say it's definitely generally a lot of kids that come out and coming out, and we start with some small-sided stuff, kind of technical work, passing, receiving, things like that, and then it kind of turns into small-sided scrimmages, big-sided scrimmages. What you should expect this year is lots of different coaches on hand, lots of different coaches around, kind of making sure that we do everything that we can to evaluate and see all the kids that we possibly can. But you also should be it'll be a very inclusive environment. We want everyone to come out and feel welcome and steer them to want to joining our program and being a part of our program. But yes, I think first time coming out, our goal is for your son to come out and have a blast.
Will the coaching staff be announced by age group prior to tryouts?
Yes, absolutely. That's something I can kind of lead into to our competitive program as a whole. Everyone in our competitive program, probably in the next week or so, week and a half or so, I will be sending out some age group emails, kind of with a breakdown of summer schedule, summer tournaments. But in those emails, I also will announce our coaching staff and coaching assignments. So you guys, one, deserve to be in our program. If you're in our program currently, deserve to know sooner rather than later. And so I will sending those emails out, but also will open the door for you guys to kind of respond with questions, thoughts, anything like that.
Linus, I'm going to send this one to you. For the Friendship Cup, how do we register? Will the coaches be selected from existing teams?
So you can go directly to our website. There's a link that'll take you to our Friendship Cup where you can register your team. And yes, the coaches, if you're asking, the coaches will be selecting from existing teams. Yeah. So basically, if you're, let's call it U14 right now, they will be registered as U15 in the tournament. But it's the same team, same birth year, but they'll just bump up a year because it's after tryouts.
Next one. Is there multiple teams and levels within the competitive program, and approximately how many?
Yes, I mean, every age group is different, and we have to approach every single age group different. But yes, there are multiple teams at 95% of our age groups, and each one, it's based on how we do tryouts, how we evaluate is we're doing the best we can to put all of our players in the best spot for them to develop. And so with that, there are different levels to where right now it's like the top level competitive team is the blue team, and under that it goes white, black, gray is the different levels that we have. And again, those levels are there so we can do the best possible job at putting them in an environment that's going to be the best for them.
Next question. Sounds like tryouts at the same time for MLS Next and competitive. Are both tiers trying out at all 4 of those dates? I can take this
And we
one.
can start with the West Coast one.
Yeah, we are still building out the tryout schedule. So unfortunately, all of the clubs in the area, that 12th through the 15th week is the first opportunity that we can have to open up our tryouts to members outside of the club. So yes, the goal is to have our tryouts that week. But I'll say that we will always be evaluating players throughout the month of May and June and through the summer.
And to just add on to that real quick, to where if you try out for an MLS Next program, if you're in an area where you're not making that team, there will be constant communication from those coaching staff to our competitive coaches and myself, to where we will make sure that no one essentially is falling through the cracks. To where if you don't make that MLS Next team, we will get you in a spot to kind of be evaluated or placed on a competitive team.
Looks like we have a question around, can we get our field schedule earlier? Currently getting it a week beforehand is making it difficult to manage other activities.
Which 100% understandable. The tricky part with that is we are through THPRD, and so there's times where our hands are tied a little bit kind of with the field space that we get from them. But at the same time, we get it out as soon as we possibly can. We're trying to push it to where the schedules will last longer, to where like little month periods or month to month in a sense. But yes, I can assure you that that is something that we will be working towards.
Looks like there's another question here on field space. Can we get clarity on what adequate space means? It's hard to see a team training in a quarter of a field for practice. I can help answer this one. So when we say adequate field space, and going back to those different training to train, or learning to train, and train to compete, players at the youngest ages actually don't need a lot of field space. What they ideally need is a ball at their foot and learning mastery of the ball. So ideally at the younger ages, you are spending a lot of time just dribbling with different parts of the foot. At the older ages is where you're starting to have that understanding of tactical awareness. However, there are a number of very good professional clubs that can train in a 10 by 20 space. So while there are some days where teams do need a full half of a field to train, there's also a myriad of activities that can be done to still develop players on their technical ability, on their endurance, on their strength in tight spaces to help with their understanding of the game and their speed of play. Another good question for the competitive teams. Do you know which level of OYSA they will be playing at? Gold, silver, or Division I?
As I mentioned earlier, all of our teams are going to be different. Every one of them is going to need something different, but it's also hard to answer that question until we get through tryouts. And once we can kind of get the team into place and evaluate and see where they're at. But again, all of the teams are going to be placed in a division that's going to be the best for their development. When I say that, it's going to be the best spot for them to be pushed, to be challenged, but also have the balance of finding success as well.
Is everyone who tries out assigned to a team? And by when do we need to commit to the team in which we are assigned?
We definitely will be doing our absolute best to have a place for every single player that comes to try out to play. Just with that being said, it sometimes it's not always that easy and not always possible, but I can assure you that is our goal. And as far as kind of the commitment side to it, I mean, I will always be one that says the sooner the better, just because the sooner that we can get that, the sooner we can kind of take the next steps to kind of get going into our season and plan and do all of that. But I think in years past, we've had like a 48-hour window because we do understand that there are other clubs, other tryouts, things like that. But at the same time, from a staff, we will be working extremely hard to get out those placements to you guys as soon as possible. To where we're going to do our best to have it kind of be a similar like 24, 48 hour window. And so we kind of just from the hope that we can get the same respect kind of with a quick 48-hour response.
Another question about how long do coaches stay with a team?
Well, that varies. I think it kind of depends on the growth of each of our teams, to where if the team is growing and continuing to grow and coaches having success and things like that, there's times where there's not necessarily a need to change anything. There's times where it's generally a 2-year cycle is generally kind of how we start to kind of give coach team time to do that. But at the same time, it really tends to vary.
Are training days the same each week? Are practices 2 or 3 days per week?
We always will do our absolute best to keep your training days consistent. To where generally our competitive teams, it's either kind of a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday cycle. And we always do our best to keep that consistent for you guys, just because again, we know there are lives outside of the soccer world as well. And so we want it to be consistent. We want you guys to be able to plan accordingly and plan around something consistent. Right now, consistently, every single competitive team trains twice a week. We always are looking to evolve and get them more if that team needs more. But it really just kind of depends on what each team needs.
Do a couple more. With mentioned player movement across roster or the potential for player movement, does that mean each team will be playing the same style of play or foundational themes within an age group?
That is a very good question. And that is definitely something that is the goal. To where I think right now we're at a space where we have a very good opportunity to come in and kind of write the path that we want to write when it comes to that. And that is the goal, to where we will be coming in and trying to establish a style of play, trying to establish some consistency from coach to coach. So when there is player movement, it's consistent and they're not coming into an environment that's brand new and overwhelming or frustrating or make it difficult. We want the player movement to be as smooth and consistent as possible. So I can assure you that we will be doing our absolute best to put that together. And I most definitely will be asking coaches to follow some sort of plan or style of play or characteristics in a sense. So it's easier for our kids to develop as they move forward.
And I'll just take a second to add on to that, Alec. For those that don't know, there's been State Cup, President's Cup games this past weekend, and Alec was at the fields watching 6 or 7 games back to back. So not only watching how our kids play, but then also evaluating our coaches and how they interact with the players. He also attends all of our ECNL games, and he has been in almost all of our MLS Next meetings. So you have an extremely dedicated coach here that is putting the time in off the field to evaluate players, but then actually on the field and understanding how we show up and play, which not a lot of coaches do that. So the competitive program is in very good hands with Alec and his leadership. Let's do maybe 1 or 2 more. How many players per roster? Is playing time guaranteed? And can a player play up in a higher age bracket?
All good questions. I would say the roster size can tend to vary again on each team. I think it depends on kind of the commitment level of all of our teams, in a sense, to where at the younger ages, we want them to really get as many minutes as possible. And so I would say kind of a 12 to 13 area kind of for our 9v9 teams. As you get into the 11v11 side and get older, again, the commitment can tend to change just with life and high school kids kind of working and doing things like that. And so that, again, we want them to get as many minutes as possible. But at the same time, it's probably like a 16 to 18 is probably the goal for those older ages. And then as far as playing time goes, I would say, especially at young ages, we want every single kid to play. But I would say the best word to put on it is every kid's going to play a fair amount of minutes to develop as a soccer player. But I also think there's things that come with that to where we need kids attending trainings, attending practices, because that also kind of leads to the playing time on the weekend, to where, as mentioned, our coaches will be going into sessions and weeks and months with plans and working on certain things. And so if a kid is missing training or missed a whole week of training, they're missing out on probably what they're working on that weekend. And so come the weekend, minutes might be a little bit less than normal if they're missing trainings. But at the same time, all of our competitive players will be in a spot to play a fair amount of minutes to develop. But then also at the same time, when it comes to cut play and things like that, that is kind of the one time that we are kind of trying to get results and focused on results. But at the same time, if you're attending training, showing up consistently, there's no reason why your kid shouldn't get the opportunity to get on the field. Was there a third one that I missed with that one?
No, you got it. Do players have to attend all tryout sessions in case trying out for other clubs?
I would say it's recommended, but at the same time, we understand that they're all at the same time. I definitely would say that if you're attending a different tryout and you're coming to ours, I would say definitely let us know, just so we can plan appropriately for that. But at the same time, we of course want them at all of ours, but also understand if not. But it's really, I would say, just the communication side is super important, so we can kind of make sure that if they're there for one day, we get them a fair look and a fair evaluation, just so we can plan accordingly.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. If you have additional questions, you are welcome to reach out to us online. You can also contact us by phone as well. If there's notes that we need to be aware of when you register for tryouts, please put that in your registration or email us, and we'll make sure that the staff knows. But on behalf of Linus and Alec and the rest of Oregon Surf, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We wish you well and hope to see you out at tryouts.